I am Miss Tracy of Miss Tracy Creates, and I am a very passionate crafter and maker. I love to do all the things. I really do. And one of the things I'm extremely passionate about is repurposing and reusing, recycling napkin art. I love creating with napkins. I have a napkin club that offers crafters and makers like you and me a variety pack of napkins that gets shipped out to you every single month. If you want some information about that, Cheryl's going to be posting a link if anybody wants to get some info. And today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to jump into a fun spring napkin art project. It is this darling canvas. This is a 5x7 canvas with a cute little shiplap wood birdhouse on it. And I'm going to show you a few different techniques today for utilizing your napkin art. Look how cute the little birds are. Now, I do have a kit for this, and we've actually had to go through 2 rounds of kits. We still have a few from the second round available, and we're about to kit a 3rd round of these. Okay, so if you're interested at all in my little crafty kit here, I'll show you what it looks like. It looks just like this, the spring birdhouse kit. Everything you need in here to complete your project, except for the wet stuff like Mod Podge, or if you want to add any pen work or sparkle, things like that. Okay, you just ordered yours. Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. And thank you, Janet, for saying that about the Napkin Club. She says it rocks. It does. We have a great, great time in the Napkin Club. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the kit here so that you can see everything that you're going to get in the kit, and talk about the other supplies I'm going to be using today. All right. So you're going to have a little piece, a little kind of wound up piece of jute here for your kit. This is the little shiplap wooden birdhouse. So, so cute. This is the 5x7 canvas that will be in your kit. You're also going to have a piece of white cardstock. This is not part of the packaging. This you're actually going to use. I'm going to show you how to use it here in just a second. And then you're going to have some beautiful napkins in here. You're going to have some beautiful napkins, really pretty, some nice, pretty patterns and things to play with, and these adorable birds. Okay, these adorable birds. So I'm ready to jump in and get started. That's what's going to be in your kit. The other thing I'm going to be using today is a little bit of white paint. I'm using my Country Chic paint. Simplicity is the pure white. If you have any kind of white craft paint at home, it's fine to use craft paint for this. So white paint. I'm also going to be using matte Mod Podge. This is the yellow label, the matte Mod Podge today. And then I'll share a few little tips and tricks and other things along the way. All right, Debbie's checking in from Indiana. All right, awesome. These little kits, Becky, are $15. They're $15. Yes, a great introductory kit into napkin art. Okay. All right, so I think we better get started. I have to finish by 11 because Cotton Chaos is going to be starting their presentation at 11. So the first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to work with the cardstock. Okay, I'm going to work with my cardstock here. And what I'm going to be doing is teaching you guys today how easy it is to napkinize. That's my word for anything that I alter with a napkin. How easy it is to napkinize paper. So if you're a paper crafter, if you love, tell me in the comments, do you love to make cards? Do you like to make tags? Are you a junk journaler? Are you a scrapbooker? If you like to do any kind of, I should probably pour this into my little dish here, but I'm going to just scoop some of this out. If you're any kind of paper crafter, you're going to love this because we can actually napkinize paper, and then we're going to actually do that today to create a little bit of 3D napkin art for our project. So all I'm doing right now is adding Mod Podge matte, okay, Mod Podge matte, to my piece of cardstock. This is in your kit. It's not part of the packaging. It is actually part of your kit. So this is just a 65-pound weight of cardstock, piece of cardstock. Nothing special about it. Just a piece of cardstock. Okay, so I have painted this up now with Mod Podge, right? A nice kind of healthy coat of Mod Podge, and then we're going to let it dry. That's why I'm doing it first. You can use your heat tool to dry it, but I also need to paint, so I'm going to be staging this out a little bit. So I'm going to take this piece of cardstock. I did this on top of a piece of parchment paper. I can just move it out of the way really easily. And now let's come over and let's do, get a little bit of white paint on our birdhouse. Okay. Now the birdhouse is super fun because it's got the shiplap kind of look to it. I think it's really pretty. Again, you can use any white paint. I'm going to be using Simplicity. My chalk and mineral based paints, I love them because I can paint anything with them. They have a sealer already built in. Sorry, I'm looking for my other paintbrush. They have a sealer already built in, so you don't have to seal them again. They distress beautifully, and they will adhere to anything. Glass, metal, plastic, any junky, thrifty finds. I'm kind of a junker. I love to find old things and give them new life. So that's why I'm such a fan. I'm such a fan of chalk and mineral-based paints. So all we have to do, my friends, is just put a coat of white paint on this. And the reason we're painting it is because I want my napkin art to stay nice and pure to its colors. Okay, so if I didn't paint this and I put my napkin art on top of this little shiplap birdhouse, the wood color would actually show through, which is kind of cool. It really is. It's kind of cool. But for this particular project, I want it to be white. I want the colors to stay nice and pure to what they are. Okay, it doesn't have to be a super great coat of paint. I've got a little, oh, okay, I don't know what that is. Oh man. All right, I hate that when that happens. Some of my brushes really need to be tossed. It's time for some new brushes. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do is just kind of clean up my brush in a sense, right here along the edges. This can just be kind of a dry brush. If you like a little bit of a distressed look, a little vintage shabby look, you can just kind of clean up your brush on the edges. If you want a little more paint, just add a little more paint. These are laser cut, so they're very dark along the edges. So I just want to kind of add a little paint in here, and I'm also going to just kind of swirl some paint in the inside of the birdhouse. We'll call it the door to the birdhouse, the opening to the birdhouse. All right, so this right here really is fine. Doesn't have to be a super perfect coat of paint. We just need to get some white on there. Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that, Mary from Crafty Creations. She says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, share the live, and subscribe. Thank you. Mary from Crafty Creations is watching over on my YouTube channel. So thank you, Mary, for saying that. Appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and dry this. Just want to make sure it's getting a good start drying. And I'm going to put it to the side. So what have we done so far? We've painted the wood birdhouse. We've also painted the white cardstock in our kit with Mod Podge, and we're letting that dry. Okay, so those two things have happened. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over my parchment paper here. And I'm going to move to the canvas. Okay, I'm going to move here to the canvas. And I'm going to go ahead and pour some Mod Podge into my little container here. There we go. I like to use these cute little tart tins as Mod Podge containers, because when the leftover Mod Podge in there, when it dries, you can just heat it up with your craft tool and peel it out. I just think they're really cute to use. All right. So we're going to do, you ordered 2. That's awesome, Marianne. You're going to keep one and gift one, I bet. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with our first piece of napkin art here. Now, this is what our finished sample is going to look like. Your finished project is going to look kind of like this. So I want you to notice we're working on the background, the canvas. So I'm going to open up my napkin and I'm going to position it in a way that I kind of see these pretty pink flowers on each of the corners. Now you're going to have a nice big napkin here. This is a beautiful napkin. You're going to have some leftovers of this napkin. So, you know, once you learn a little bit about napkin art today, well, you can, you can have some fun with the extra pieces of the napkin in your kit. Okay. So let me make sure that this is going to be big enough. I think it is. So I'm going to cut this a little bigger than my canvas, because I'm going to wrap the canvas. Okay, I'm going to wrap the canvas. I'm going to show you how to do that. You've got, look at all these flowers. You've got extra flowers. So pretty. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to separate the plies from the napkin. Okay. Now, sometimes I do this with what I call the lick and stick method, and you'll see me do it today because it's just habit. I just tap my finger and my thumb. Okay. And then I go and kind of squeeze my finger and my thumb together and see how the plies just come apart. Now, I know that grosses some people out, but it is okay. It's my own DNA. It's okay. But if you don't want to do that, the other thing you can do is just put a little bit of Mod Podge on your finger, tap it until it doesn't feel gluey. You want it to feel sticky, but not gluey, not wet. And you can do the exact same thing. Okay, do you see how that works? Same exact thing. Now, these napkins have 3 plies. All right, they have 3 plies. So what does that mean? That means I need to take off 2 plies. Okay, so I'm going to take off 2 plies. Sometimes they come off at the same time. Mine did not today. So we're just going to take off that second ply. We have to get to just the top piece of napkin art. If not, if we accidentally leave a piece on, when we go to decoupage it on, the top layer tries to lift and bubble and all the things. And that's the part that has the artwork. So we don't want to lose that. Okay. So as I mentioned, I kind of wanted my flower to be up here in the corner, kind of over here in the corner here. All right. And then we'll be wrapping this around. Actually, I could do it a little differently today, but no, I think I'll just keep the same look here. All right. And I'm going to go just kind of wrap around these edges. Okay. So it does need to be wider than the canvas. All right. It does need to be wider than the canvas. And now to start, I'm going to dip into my Mod Podge mat, and I'm going to put a healthy coat just on the top. Okay. Some of you might want to wrap ribbon around your canvas. Okay. So if you want to wrap ribbon around your canvas, you don't even really need to wrap the canvas, which is what I'm going to show you today. But we're going to start, no matter what, we're going to start with just the top. Okay. We're going to start with just the top. Thank you, Joy. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, there's so many surfaces that we can napkinize. And then, you know, there are what we call best practices. There are best practices for the things that we napkinize. So this does not have to be exact. Okay, this does not have to be exact. Everybody's piece can look a little bit different. I just kind of like having a little bit of that, especially right up here, this flower right up here, because this corner is going to show the most. Okay, so now that I have that laid on top, I'm going to use something that has been a game changer for me with napkin art. These are plastic sheets. They're just plastic sheets, Deli bakery sheets. I get them on Amazon. I love them because it's like plastic wrap, but it doesn't stick to itself and it just pops out like a Kleenex. So I'm going to lay this on top and I'm going to start smoothing. Okay, I'm going to start kind of smoothing this out. Now this napkin already it's got beautiful artwork on it. It's got a little bit of texture already in it. I'm just going to smooth this down. I'm not going to worry about the sides right at this moment. Okay, just smoothing this in place. Okay, so before I lift it off, I just want to show you a little example here of wrapping your canvas. Okay, so if you know for a fact that you want to wrap the canvas, you'll cut the napkin out larger. If you think you want to wrap your canvas with cute ribbon or jute or something else, then you don't really have to do this part. You could sand off the excess. So I still have my plastic sheet on there, right? So now I'm going to come along the edges. I'm going to do the two long sides here first. And I'm applying the Mod Podge to the sides of the canvas. Okay, just swipe it on there. And now I'm going to just kind of pull it up on top of itself, just like that. Okay, so now my plastic wrap is still on here, and I'm going to wrap those sides. Okay, whatever's left, I'll just sand off. So don't worry about that. So I just kind of do this whole process at one time. Now I'm going to show you if by chance you realize that you cut your napkin short. Okay, I kind of did this on purpose just so I can show you. I don't want you to worry about it. Again, this is something that you could cover with either an additional piece of napkin or some ribbon. So if this happens to you, don't worry. Don't worry. You've got plenty of napkin. You could cut another little piece. And so I'm kind of pinching the edges. We're going to wind up with these little, do you see it looks like a wing, right? Like a little wing. Those corners, actually, is what I'm pinching up. So I actually, this one, because I have my other sample made, I was thinking I might add ribbon around this one. And that way I just have, when I finish these off, I have two ways to show you how pretty they look with ribbon or without. So again, just kind of pinching that corner, smoothing this down. All right, now that all of that is done, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to just carefully peel away the plastic wrap. Now, this plastic wrap, as you can see, is going to have Mod Podge all over it. That's really what you should see. You should have a healthy enough coat on that after you're smoothing it down, you should see some of the Mod Podge come up onto the plastic wrap. We actually want some of the Mod Podge kind of absorbing up into the napkin like that. Now, you can reuse these sheets after they dry. You cannot reuse them while they're wet. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If you try to reuse them while they're wet, they're going to pull your napkin back off. Okay, all right. Thank you guys for all the sweet comments. Yes, we are extending an invitation to those of you that aren't in the Napkin Club. Yeah, we just shipped out our March bundle yesterday, and it's called Flower Garden. So we do have some extras. So we did that on purpose so that we could offer some invitations to those of you watching, a special invitation to come and join us. So once you join, we'll ship you the Flower Garden and Napkin Bundle. All right. So I like to dry this. We want to dry it before we cut or sand anything. That's really important. Make sure I have a little piece of sandpaper here. I do. So the reason we want to dry it first is because while the napkin is wet, it's at its most fragile. Okay, while the napkin is wet, it's at its most fragile. All right, that's probably good enough. So now remember these little wings? Remember these little wings right here? All I'm going to do is take my scissors and cut those off. We will be doing a top coat over the napkin to protect it. So when we do that, that will take care of any little extra little pieces or anything. But just cut it as close as you can to the canvas. And then on the back here, I'm just going to show you. All right. If you did want to sand off edges, it's so easy. I'm just using a little piece of sandpaper. I think this is 80 or 100. And literally it's just that easy, right? Just coming in and sanding that off. So if you know you want to put ribbon everywhere, all around the edge, you just be sanding that edge off. Okay. Super easy. All right. So I mentioned we want to seal this napkin. We also want to do a little pin work on this napkin. I want to show that to you. We cannot add any pin work until we seal the napkin. We're sealing it to protect it. We're also sealing it so that when we do add pin work or other things, there's other things we can do on top of these. We want to make sure, like when we do the pin work, that the ink doesn't try to absorb into the napkin, right? That's a napkin's purpose in life, is to absorb. So we're just going to get us a nice little, just really a thin coat, just a thin, even coat. And that will protect it and also allow us to do some things without the napkin trying to absorb it all. Okay. All right. So now that part is done. Now we're going to go back to, we're going to let this dry and we're going to go back to the little birdhouse. Okay. All right. Yeah, you can use nail files, emery boards. The tissue's really thin. If you have any kind of like a little foam sander, any kind of sander, anything that you can sand with, it will work just fine. Okay. I'm sure you have some extra emery boards or something like that. So our next napkins that we're going to use are going to be these two. I thought these two patterns look so cute and so springy. So this is what we're going to be adding to the slats on our birdhouse. Okay. So you're going to have a lot of extra. You're going to have plenty of extra to play with. So I'm going to come in here and it's kind of nice because you can actually see, and I don't know if you guys can see this very well. I'm going to switch my screen out here just a second. Whoops, not that way. Hold, please. Okay, this way. Let's do it this way, solo. Whoop. Okay, so I'm going to bring the camera down, and I'm hopeful that you can kind of see this. And in fact, all I really need, I'm just going to go ahead and just cut one square of this napkin. So that way I'm not having to deal with the whole big napkin here. Don't need all of that. So this is the pattern. I'm going to be doing kind of every other one. Okay. So this pattern I'm going to put up here in the triangle and then also on this section. So let's start with this section right here. Okay. You can see that I'm kind of running this pattern, this kind of right through the middle. So I kind of know I have a middle. All right. And then I'm going to fold this up to that next little shiplap line. And I'm just going to crease it. Okay. Just going to crease it. Now I like doing this before I remove the plies because sometimes it's easier to see the crease line from the back. And also the napkin's not so fragile when you cut it. Okay, so that's going to be my piece that's going to go across there. Now let's look up here to the top. So again, I want to make sure a piece like this is kind of in the center. Here's the center top, right, of my birdhouse. So I'm going to bring this up here. This is the first thing I'm going to do. Now I'm going to fold this corner right along that edge. Again, there's a little edge, there's a little valley right there. And I'm going to do this corner. Just bring it down. This is how I'm getting my template, basically. This is what's going to show me exactly where I need to cut. Okay, so this is where we're going to start. If it's easier for you to see that little score line, pressure mark, fold line, whatever you want to call it, on the top or behind, we can look at it both ways. So now you see that I've got it kind of lined up here, right? Now I'm going to do just like I did on the other slat wall section. I'm just kind of folding it up right along that next little slat. I said slat wall. I'm sorry. Shiplap. Shiplap's kind of like slat wall. The little shiplap panel. And now I have my top triangle and I have this triangle. Okay, so the next two pieces are going to be this piece and this piece. Save all of your scraps. That's such good pieces of napkin to be able to do some fun things with. Again, I'm just going to cut a square of this napkin. If you decide to give a kit as a gift, you've got plenty of napkin here to create a little card or something maybe to go with it. You can even napkinize the gift bag. Be a cute little Mother's Day gift or something. All right, so we're going to go back again. This time we're doing this piece. Okay, this piece right here. Don't worry right now about the birdhouse hole. We'll discuss that in a moment. I'm going to fold right against that shiplap valley or shiplap line. So now we have that piece. Now let's come down and do this piece. Now this piece is easy because we can just sand along this piece. So we really just have to cut a piece that's big enough to cover because it's on the outside edge. Okay. All right, so we have all of that. Now let's go back and discuss this little hole here. Okay, I'm going to bring this back. I still have my plies on. All right, I still have my plies on. Yes, we've been posting the link to the kit. Remember, this is going to go kind of in the middle, so just kind of position that in the middle. And same thing, I'm going to take my finger here and just really press along that part of the birdhouse opening, the little hole there. And I'm going to just cut along where I pressed. Pretty good. Looks pretty good. All right, we're going to do the same thing with this top piece. This the shiplap piece that goes along the top of the birdhouse hole. And again, just come in, press it out, just with the kind of the fatty part of your finger. I promise you'll be able to see it. You see it? Easier to see on the back sometimes. And we're going to cut that out. Now, okay, now that we've done that, we can separate the plies. So I try to do any cutting, any detail cutting, anything like that, I'll just kind of lay these out, and I'll show you kind of what we'll do with those edges. But it's kind of nice just to be able to look at it, make sure we feel good about everything. Get all the plies off. You got to take off 2, keep 1. Look how cute that's going to be. So cute. I love mixing patterns. Like, I love design work and all these cute patterns. Like, you might not have thought to mix these patterns together, but I absolutely love it. I think it's so cute and just springy and fun. There we go. Okay, so the only other part of this that could be a little bit tricky. Oops, let me move this up on the camera. Okay, the only other part of this that could be a little bit tricky, I can sand off these edges. I can sand off these edges. This one is going to fit exactly where we want it to go. Okay, it's going to be this one. So I'm going to bring this, kind of position it right where I'm going to be putting it, right about like that. And then sometimes I like to bring in my friction pin for this, and I'm looking for my friction pin. Here it is. Your friction pins are by Pilot, and they disappear with heat. So sometimes if it's a little tricky to do a fold, we can come in and we can actually draw lines. All right, and I don't have to worry, because when I heat this up, when I heat this ink, it disappears. So friction pin I really think a friction pin is a crafter's very best friend. Very, very, very best friend. So even if I don't cut exactly right, if I see any of this ink, it's going to disappear when I add heat to it. Okay, so now you kind of know the little intricacies, right, on doing these little cuts, doing these little pieces. So next is just applying our Mod Podge, and it's okay if you get Mod Podge everywhere on this. I'm leaving the rooftop white. Thought it was kind of cute, and it'll be cute against the canvas. Fresh white always looks so pretty for spring. All right, so I'm going to make sure I got a nice healthy coat, and then I'm going to move fairly quickly as I put these pieces down. So I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to do my best to try to get it in the place that it needs to be. It's almost like putting together a puzzle at this point. So for this one, I laid down a little too quick. Let's bring this up. Don't press it down until you're certain you are happy with it. There we go. Okay. Next piece. If you tend to move a little slower, just do a section at a time. Just put your Mod Podge on a section at a time and just tap in place. I am going to use my plastic wrap here again. So I'm going to get a fresh sheet, nice fresh sheet, and then start smoothing. All right, now if by chance some of the napkin has gone into the little valleys of the shiplap, all right, then I'm going to take my fingernail. You could use a toothpick, anything that just kind of has a little bit of a point on it, or an edge to it, and I'm going to run that down the little valleys here. Okay, and that just really brings out the shiplap again. I love the shiplap. Look, I think it looks so cute. We can even accentuate it later with some pin work if we want to. And now we're going to peel this back off. We're going to dry it. You see how I'm doing on my time. Pretty good. Make sure it's good and dry, and then we're going to sand off the excess. So cute, right? I love it. I love these patterns. Just think it's so darling. So just take that sandpaper or whatever you want to use. Make sure we get in that little corner there. And there's our house. Our cute, cute, cute little birdhouse. You guys have any questions on that? I know it's so fun, right? It's so fun. Myself back up here on the screen. I just wanted to make sure that you could see that really nice and close up. And just knowing how to make those cuts. Now we do have a little hole right here. So when you have a little teeny hole like that, typically what I do is just use like the end of a paintbrush and just kind of pop back through there. This little hole is going to wind up kind of getting covered up. You're never really going to see it, but that's usually what I do to get the little hole. Okay. Really fun. Okay, let's look and see. Look how cute this is going to look. Do you see the way I have my flowers positioned? So I see some here. I see some down here. Yeah, it's going to be really adorable. Yes. And by the way, your birdhouse could go any way you want. Like it really doesn't have to actually fit the canvas. It could, if you want to go this way with it, if you prefer to go that way with it. I mean, really, you can move your birdhouse around on your canvas however you'd like. So now then, I'm going to seal this also, right? We want to always protect our napkin art. Always, always, always. And you'll learn a lot about that in the Napkin Club because we actually do pieces that can even go outside. We've done all kinds of pieces. And so depending on where they're going and how they're going to be used is how we decide how to seal them, okay, and what product to seal them with. All right. Okay, so we're going to set this one aside to dry. All right, we're going to pop that one right up there. And I'm going to bring back our cardstock. Okay, going to bring back our cardstock. Thank you. I hope you are learning a lot. That makes me super happy. It makes my heart happy. That's my passion. I want you to learn. I want you to be able to create with confidence. And, you know, creating for me, literally, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. It brings me joy. I truly believe that being creative, using your hands, it really is good for the mind, the body, and the soul. It really is. So I'm going to, remember we painted this out with Mod Podge. Okay. We painted this out with Mod Podge. So now I'm just making sure that it's totally dry because we are going to do the iron-on method. Okay. We're going to do the iron-on method. Let me make sure I've got my iron over here and make sure I've got it. Here's my little Oliso iron. It's the mini iron. It's the one I use for crafting. And we need to make sure that this is nice and dry. Okay, so I've turned on my iron. I'm getting it hot, highest, hottest setting. And I'm going to go to the napkin we haven't used yet. Okay, the birds. I think the birds are just so cute. And you can see here that the birds are kind of popped up, right? They're popped up. So they look a lot like kind of 3D art. Very, very cute. So what we're going to do is going to come in with some of my little detail cutting scissors here, which these are gotten a little bit gunky, but we'll see how they do. Okay. And when you open up this napkin, you're going to see that you have two birds. Okay, so you have two birds, and your birds might look a little different. Actually, I think they all look pretty much the same. I think it's just because they're mirrored. I'm gonna use these big scissors to start. So first thing I'm gonna do is just come in, and if you're not a fan of birds, then just use the flowers. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of cut up the middle here. Lots of pretty flowers, different things that you could use. And this is really all we need right here. Okay, a couple of birds. So I'm gonna take off the plies. You don't have to fussy cut them right now. Okay, you can wait until after we put them on the paper. So those of you that I mentioned earlier, if you're a paper crafter, if you're a card maker, if you love to make cute tags, or if you're into junk journaling or scrapbooking, it is so fun. Or Bible journaling. I love to put napkins in my my journaling Bible. So it's so fun to come in, and you've got plenty of extra paper here. So if you do want to do, like I said, a coordinating card or tag or something like that, you've got extra paper here that you could go in and add some more flowers or something else to, if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to take, it is going to be important that when we do the iron-on method, that you're on top of something that's heat resistant. That's what this mat is right here, this brown mat. It's heat resistant, okay? So it's okay. If you want to go to your ironing board, that's okay too. You're also going to need some parchment paper, okay? So I like to have a sheet of parchment paper underneath my dried Mod Podge cardstock, right? The cardstock's already been dry. And then, yeah, this is 65-pound weight cardstock. So really easy to find. You can find it at your craft stores and things. And also your paper office supply stores, okay? And online, of course. So I've laid my birds where I want them to be. I'm going to now put this sheet of parchment paper on top. This is just white parchment paper, just like you'd use for baking cookies, things like that. And I'm going to take my iron, and as I mentioned, my iron has been on its hottest setting, and it's dry. I don't ever put water in my craft iron. You don't need steam. You don't want any water. No water, no steam when you're doing the iron-on method. And literally, we just iron over the parchment paper. We just iron over it. What's happening is the heat from the iron is reactivating the Mod Podge. And because you're using pressure, right, while you're ironing, you're kind of, it's like the napkin tissue is kind of melding. It's kind of melting into the paper in a way. And just so beautiful, very easy to do. There are other ways to napkinize paper or cardstock, but this is by far my favorite. This is my favorite way. Okay, so I'm going to turn that iron off. I'm going to peel this back off. You see how I'm doing on my time? 10:43. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is I need to let this cool for a second. Peel that off. Okay. So I need to let this just cool for a second. All right. Because I may want to do some pen work on these birds. Again, it's still a napkin tissue. I like to seal them if I think I'm going to do some pen work or something on them. The cardstock is sold as 8.5 by 11. We just cut it down in half for the kits because we knew you didn't need a whole sheet. Okay. My iron, Janet, is Oliso. You can find it online. I think it's in my Amazon storefront. They come in different colors. Mine's yellow, and it has a little silicone mat, which is fabulous. I love it. So we need this to cool off. If you put a top coat on top of it while it's still feeling warm, then it could possibly try to lift from the underneath coat, okay, of Mod Podge. So we're going to let this cool for just a second. Okay, we're going to let it cool. If you're at home, let it cool like completely. All right. Now I have a limited amount of time with you, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. But let it cool. Okay, let it cool completely. And then I'm going to put just a really nice, again, just a thin coat of Mod Podge on top. Just a nice little thin coat. And now I'm going to dry it. Once it's dried, then I can cut it out. I can fussy cut around it. Thank you, Karna. You're so sweet. Yes, the paper that I'm using is just white cardstock, 65 pounds, 8.5 by 11. You can find it office supply stores. You can get it online. You can get it at craft and hobby stores. Very, very simple. So now this is all nice and dry. Okay. So when I get ready to start cutting, okay, I'm using my little detail cutting scissors and I'm kind of bubble cutting, meaning, you know, fussy cutting, a lot of times you're cutting like right on the image. I'm actually kind of cutting around. Can you see that? I'm leaving a little bit of an edge of the background. So I call this kind of bubble cutting. I'm just kind of cutting around a little bit, leaving that little bit, little border. Okay, leaving that little border. And just cutting around. It's going, this, I like cutting it this way because if you're not that great at cutting, your eye really goes to the prominent details and the color. So this way, all those details stay nice and crisp and pretty. So it's going to wind up looking kind of like that. Isn't that gorgeous? Such a pretty bird and pretty flowers, very springy. So just, and having a small, nice little pair of detail cutting scissors is really important. All right, I'll get one of these cut. And I'll cut the other one here in a little bit. I just want you to see kind of how this is going to go together. So now I have my canvas. I have my birdhouse. And I've cut out one of my birds. Now I'll be cutting out the second one too, but I just want to make sure I show you all of this before our time is up together. So the next thing I wanted to show you is a little bit of pen work. So you can use, what my favorite ones to use are by Faber-Castell. They're called Pitt pens. The set we sell has like 4 nibs, an extra small, a small, a medium, and a brush tip. And so they're fabulous for coming in and doing some pen work. So I'm going to do a little bit of pen work here on this flower, and I'm going to use the medium just so that it really shows up for you. The finer the details, I usually use the smaller nib, but I want to be sure that you can see this really well. And I'm just going in and kind of doodle drawing, right? Kind of doodle tracing, however you want to view that, and over the details on my flower. And it's just beautiful. It adds kind of a handmade, beautiful quality to your work. Can you see that? Isn't that pretty? Do you see how it just really stands out? Now around like here, I can come in and just kind of do like, just kind of some squiggles in the center, right? Just little squiggles like that. Let's talk about the birdhouse, okay? The birdhouse could stay just like this, or if you want to kind of accentuate the shiplap valleys, we can come in and add a line. we can also come in and add kind of the line here. And then I thought it was kind of cute to come in and just kind of do some broken lines on the rooftop. So you can use whichever nib, you know, a smaller one if you want to. I'm just using this thicker one because it's easier to see. Isn't that cute? I'm even going to do kind of some broken lines here around the birdhouse hole. See how that just really stands out now, right? Those details really, really pop and stand out. And the same thing is going to happen when you get ready to glue your birdhouse. Let me just kind of do this part over here real fast. Okay, so when you get ready to put your birdhouse down, do you see how it just looks really good? It just really makes things come out and pop out. Now, I'm going to use, because the bird has finer features, right? Finer features. I'm going to use a smaller nib. Smaller pin. And you can come in and do a few little details on your bird if you want to. You don't have to. I'm going to do some squiggles kind of where the head meets. Okay. You see finer details, a finer nib. This is the small. Okay. Now you can also come in and do some on the flowers. All right. So I want to talk to you about the final completion. All right. What I did when I put all of this down, remember that jute? Here it is. Remember the little bit of jute that's in your kit? Okay. I know, right? The tin work, it just adds so much to your projects. It gives depth, it gives dimension, it adds interest, it draws your eye in, and it gives it more of that handmade kind of quality and look. So what you're going to do is, and I can see here that I have a little bit of this flower showing through the birdhouse hole, the opening. So let's go ahead, and I won't do all of this, but I just want some of it here just so that you can see. Oh my gosh, look how cute. Okay, so see that little peekaboo kind of showing through there. There's our flower. You can do as much or as little pin work as you want. You don't have to do pin work on everything, but the things you want to really pop, you can add that pin work to. So I would be gluing this down in place, gluing the birdhouse down in place. You could use like your Scotch tacky glue is great for this. You could even use your hot glue for this, just gluing this down. Now, once I have this glued down, I'm just going to show you what I did. I took some of my jute and I just used a little bit of glue. I actually used my, you can use again, tacky glue, your Scotch Fast Grab tacky glue or hot glue. And I just kind of ran this. I just thought it just added a little texture, ran it on the rooftop. Okay. What you have left, we'll be making a bow with for down here. Okay. So I would add that right here, save the rest for the bow. And then let me show you how you're going to add your bird on. I like to use double-sided foam tape. Okay. Now, you don't have to use this if you don't want to. If you have like pop dots, the circles or the squares, you could use that. If you don't want to use either one of those, I'll tell you what we used to use old school. Old school for pop dots, what we used to use were just pieces of cardboard from like cardboard boxes. We just cut our own little squares and things very, very simply. I like the foam tape because I can cut it whatever size I want it to be. So I'm going to put down a piece of foam tape, another piece of foam tape, and then I'd cut down smaller pieces for some of the little details. So I like that I can just cut it to whatever size I need it to be. And then when you get ready to put this on, it's going to layer on over your birdhouse. I like to put some glue on top of these, okay? I usually just use a little bit of hot glue. You could use your tacky glue as well. Let me peel off the backings here. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to show you. You're going to see all the techniques within an hour. I promise. Cotton Chaos coming up next at 11 o'clock. If you're watching on the Jingle and Mingle Facebook page, make sure you refresh your page. They'll be coming on live at 11. So now watch. I'm going to just kind of place this really wherever I want it to go. We're going to pretend like the house is already glued down. So now it's raised up. It's popped up, right? So I get this extra dimension. So cute. So, so cute. So let's look at the finished one. Okay, here's the finished one. You can see all of my pin work here. My jute on the rooftop. Look, I did some pin work on the flowers. A little bit of pin work on the birds. All right. Down here, used my foam tape underneath the birds, okay, to pop those up. Gives us really pretty dimension. Now, it's really hard to show dimension on camera. It's very hard to show dimension on camera, but I promise you, when you actually make the project and you see it, you're going to see it really well. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just made this. That's what you're going to think, especially if you've not done napkin art before. You're going to be like, I cannot believe I just made this. And then all you have to do, all I did in the very end is whatever jute I had left, I just tied a cute little bow, tied some little knots in the tails, and just tucked the little bow right down here, kind of underneath the birdie. You do have some extra, like you can see on this one, right? Let me go back to this one. This is this bird. Well, I cut off some of the flowers. I didn't want it to look exactly like this one. I cut off some of the flowers. I didn't use all the flowers. And then I decided to add a couple flowers that I had cut off, and I added them over here. So you can cut out your paper pieces. Now that you know how to napkinize paper, you can cut out those pieces and just really have fun decorating your birdhouse, making it super cute and adorable. And I will finish this one out, and then you can decide, am I going to run some ribbon around it? This one does not have ribbon. I literally just wrapped the whole thing. Okay, you can see that, just wrap the whole thing. This one I am going to add ribbon to, and I'll take pictures of both of them together and post them on my page here, also in the spring Jingle and Mingle Facebook group. Remember, that is where you can watch the replays.